Let's combat and fight back with MELTREK. The war of the minds, they want control of the masses. And Common Core, they dumb us down in the classes. Without knowledge, we can't gain access. Build with the elders, take notes and write classics. We keep whining on the block, how it's gonna stop? Let's start supporting our own, make their supply drop. We buy stocks, then we buy blocks. Cause we know the truth and we tuned in to Dr. Maya.
A BB Fahodie, a BB Toomey, a BB Wan. Peace to all of my thinkers, truth speakers, and truth seekers. Welcome to another Truth to Power Talk with your sister, Dr. Ma'at. Thank you for joining another powerful discussion. And tonight I have with me another powerful and very, very special guest, but he is no stranger to the community, Dr. Julius Garvey. How are you doing this evening?
Great. Thank you, Dr. Matt. And thanks for having me on your program.
Thank you. Thank you for agreeing to come back. We spoke maybe a few years back, a couple of years ago. You came on the platform. I reached out to you. And then look, you're on vacation with the family. I'm blowing your phone up. Dr. Garvey, can you come back on my platform? Because I heard your father got pardoned. I need you to talk about it. You said, hold on. You said, I'm on vacation with my family. Holla at me when I get back. And so I hit you up and you said, cool, let's do it on Sunday. And so I'm grateful for your time. Grateful for your time. Family, right now, take a moment to thumb up this video. Also share this video on social media. Let's make this thing go viral. We have in our midst Dr. Julius Garvey, the son of the Honorable Marcus Garvey. And look, I had to wear my shirt today.
Wonderful.
I had to wear my UNIA Baltimore chapter shirt today. Right. Had to represent with the red, black, and green today. And so anyway, family, share this video and also subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell, so that you can receive, notifications for when I go live. All right, family. All right. And I see that my audience family is coming in. I see you all coming in. Peace and love to everyone. Peace and love to everyone. I see Real Truth and Power in the building. Brother Everett right there. He said race first and peace and blessings from Brother Everett of the UNIA Baltimore. Peace and love to you. Salute. I see Hotspot Casino is in the building. Peace and love to your Hotspot Casino. I see Brother Tim Jones is in the building. Peace and love. He said, Queen, you're amazing and a true giant. Thank you so much, Warrior. Peace and love to you. And I also see the IG families trickling in. Peace and love to my IG family. I see Roosevelt is in the building. OB Sam, I see you. Wayne Stamps, I see you. I see Mad D. I see you, Anthony. I see you, Lily. I see you. Peace and love to all the IG, the folks watching on IG. And my folks on IG, make sure that you come on over here to YouTube also and subscribe and hit the notification bell. So anyway, we all got the news a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Garvey, and it was all over social media. Everybody got the news, that the Honorable Marcus Garvey was pardoned, by Joe Biden. And it came like out of left field because we weren't expecting him. None of us, we didn't think that he was doing it. But I do know that it was a push to exonerate him or to pardon him for many decades. Like this is not new. This is not a new fight. But we won. And so news spread on social media. And so Dr. Garvey, there may be some young folks, and shout out to my young folks who are watching, who are in their teens and 20s that do watch this platform. They may be saying, well, who is Marcus Garvey, and what happened that he needed a pardon from President Joe Biden? So can we start there for the people who may not know about your dad and what took place in this country?
Well, that's a lot of history, and to make it short is a little bit difficult, but basically it's 100 years ago. So we have to go back 100 years, 1923. And many of the young people can't go back that far at all. They probably can't even go back to the 1960s with Martin Luther King and Malcolm. But, this was a very difficult, time post, World War I and, post the movement of African Americans from the plantations of the South to the North, which was being industrialized. And there was the racism of up North and escaping from the lynching and the apartheid conditions from down South. Now, my father had the vision, shall we say, of reconstructing African civilization because he knew the history our history as the first civilization, the first people, the first civilization, Nile Valley, and we gave civilization to the world. We're the first of just about everything in terms of understanding of who we are as human beings and all of the necessary things in terms of government, in terms of religion, in terms of science, in terms of medicine, in terms of architecture, etc., etc. All of that started for the whole world, basically, in Nile Valley civilizations, which again are African civilizations. But of course, for the last 500 years, beginning with the slave trade, we had been dehumanized, by Europeans, dividing us up in terms of colonialism, the continent of Africa, as well as kidnapping us from the continent and bringing us to plantations in the Americas and in the Caribbean, and basically working us to death and, as I mentioned, dehumanizing us. So this was post-slavery, which ended here in the United States in 1865 after the Civil War, but it ended in the Caribbean 1834 or 1838, depending on which date you want to use. So, at that time, then we were, say, 2 generations out from slavery, and it was after the First World War, where a large number of African Americans had gone to fight for democracy in Europe and came back and expected a change, in the society itself. And that was supposedly championing democracy, but they didn't find that. Many were even being lynched in their uniforms. So that system in America had not changed. So, my dad's organization was the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, which was formed in 1914 in Jamaica. But he came to the United States in 1916, largely to model Tuskegee University. After Booker T. Washington, he was an admirer of Booker T. and they corresponded. Booker T. died in 1915. My dad came to the country in 1916 and met Major Motenot, was head of Tuskegee, etc. And the idea was to duplicate that, in Jamaica as a way to enter the period of industrialization, with basic skills such as, carpentry, plumbing, electricians, contracting work, and so on, and engineering skills as you develop. So that was his idea at that time, but he ended up getting, shall we say, wrapped into the situation in America. So he started a branch in 1917 here in New York, Harlem, and it quickly, grew leaps and bounds, and they wanted him to stay. So he moved the center of the organization to New York. So in a very short time, by 1920, 21, so they had as many as 6 million or more than 6 million members. So that was the largest Black member-based organization in the diaspora ever, and that still exists today. And that's even on the continent as well, member-based African people. And of course, this was, all over the world. There were different units in 40 different countries, but the large majority of the branches were here in the United States. There are about 800 branches here, all over the South, etc. So, basically the organization was about the dignity of Africans as human beings, the fact that we had a history, traditions, and culture, and we could build our independent communities on that basis. We didn't have to, shall we say, meld into the majority our community per se, but we could develop our own communities with our entrepreneurs and basically with our own understanding of religion, because religion actually started in Africa before it went to outside of Africa, to Greece and to Palestine and the Arab world. So it was basically, as I mentioned, a reconstruction of Africa with the traditions, with the culture, and an understanding of the history, so that we would be independent. And at the same time, that it was a sort of civil rights, the foundation of the civil rights organization here in the United States. It was also, universal, meaning that it was anti-colonial. Because again, if you recollect, there was the Berlin Conference in 1884, 1885, where Europeans sat down and divided up the African continent among themselves. So that was a period of African colonialism. At the same time, we were recovering, from slavery here in the United States. and the rest of us as African people were colonized. So he was fighting on two fronts because he realized that the system wasn't just wasn't just an American system. It's a global system of white supremacy and white hegemony over the rest of the world. So that was what he was fighting against, and he was attempting to unite all African people. And he said, Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad, because he realized that the only way we could accomplish what we needed to accomplish was by unifying ourselves. At that time, the figure that he used was 400 million Africans. At this point, we have 1.5 billion. So we definitely need unity. So that was the purpose of the organization. In unity is strength. And of course, we had our traditions, which we needed to continue, build our own communities and link with each other. The Black Star Line, the shipping line, was to trade between Africa, the Caribbean, and America, as well as to move people back and forth. So that's a little capsule of the organization in, I guess, less than 5 minutes.
Beautiful. No, thank you. No, that was a wonderful, like you said, overview, because like you said, it's 100 years. So that's a lot of history, stuff that, which you just explained. And so he ended up getting accused of and convicted of mail fraud. Is that correct, Dr. Garvey?
That's correct, yes.
Oh, can you explain what transpired? And then we'll jump into the pardon, the work to get him pardoned. But could you explain that part? Like what happened?
Yeah, well, basically, he was the major African American figure fighting for social justice, and like I said, he was a major figure not only in terms of America but throughout the world, so to speak, because his following was universal, 6 million people, universal. So there was an attempt then to destroy him from the perspective of the system itself. And at that time, there was J. Edgar Hoover heading up the FBI. It wasn't yet called the FBI, but that was the same organization that became the FBI. And he had an internal memo. His eyes were on Negro leadership, and he said there was a Negro agitator up in Harlem, Marcus Garvey, and we have to find a way to get him. So it was that thinking on the part of view of those who represented, white supremacy. So, he was a marked man from that perspective, trying to find something to get him. As a matter of fact, there was an attempt at assassination in 1919. Somebody came into the office in Harlem, and shot at him, 4 times. 2 of them grazed him, but they captured him. But interestingly enough, to turn him over to the police, but supposedly he committed suicide. Within 24 hours of being jailed by the police, he committed suicide.
Right.
The rumor is that somebody had sent him and he was going to spill the beans. So, that gave you the overview of what was going on at that time. There was a battle also for Black leadership in terms of the NACP, in terms of the socialists. So there was an antagonism within the ideological spectrum of what was the right way to go for African American people within the country. So there are a lot of people then that were lined up against him, and of course, the FBI led the charge, and the charge was using the mails to defraud the Black Star Line. Of course, was the signature entrepreneurial project, because it was linking then all African people, the 400 million, because trade and everything, commerce and everything went by boat at that time. There wasn't the airplane to carry cargo. So everything went by boat. So if we could communicate with each other and trade with each other, then we represented a significant economic base. So again, the idea was to get Marcus Garvey from the point of view of the hegemonic group, shall we say, white supremacist group here, as well as the colonial governments abroad, because both the British and the French were after him as well. His newspaper, The Negro World, was banned in the French territories and English territories and so on. Anyway, so they took the books of the Black Star Line, and they brought him up on these charges. Supposedly there were 4 of them, conspiring to use the mails to defraud, but they never went after the other 3. and they were considered to be innocent. So clearly there was no conspiracy because you can't have a conspiracy of one. So anyway, they went after Marcus Garvey because that was the purpose. Anyway, the trial itself was fraught with all kinds of inconsistencies. The judge should have recused himself because he belonged to an antagonistic organization. There was perjury that was committed by the main witness, which was brought out in court. And this perjury, he was coached by the prosecuting attorney to perjure himself, to say that he worked at the UNIA when he didn't work at the UNIA at that time. And then the only evidence they had was an empty envelope. There's nothing in the envelope. It was an empty envelope. And the person who presented the envelope, one of the other witnesses now, said he couldn't remember what was in the envelope. So you basically had no evidence of anything, But it, of course, stalled the Black Star Line itself. So it was a catch-22 because they took all the books, they had him up on charges. The Black Star Line couldn't function. Anyway, it ended up that they convicted him and with a maximum fine and 5 years in prison. So he started, serving that in 1925 after an appeal, which again, was racist, if you will, in an attempt to continue to destroy his character and hence the movement. You know how it is. You cut off the head and the rest of the body, dies.
That's right.
That was what that was all about 100 years ago. This inconsistency. I just want to, before you jump into the other part of it, Calvin Coolidge. Now, of course, there were protests in the African American community and worldwide, significant protests. And Calvin Coolidge commuted the sentence after he had served about 2.5 years, 1927, on the advice of his attorney general, who reviewed the case himself and found that it was inconsistent. And because of political pressure, the president of that time, Calvin Coolidge, commuted the sentence, but then the deported might have, Jamaica. Jamaica. So that's sort of that chapter, so to speak. I think I've answered your question there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to take this time to honor Henrietta Vinton Davis.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Because they said while, I read that while he was incarcerated, they people referred to her as Garvey number 2. They said while he was incarcerated, this sister from Baltimore, where I was born, where I was born and raised, they said she held it down, as much as she could while he was incarcerated. Is that true, Dr. Garvey?
Well, she was one of the ladies. I mean, before there was a feminist movement, within the Universal Negro Improvement Association, women were on par with the men. You had a woman's page in the Negro World weekly, which my mother was editor for that woman's page. And of course, you always had a woman president as well as a male president of the different divisions. So the women had equal responsibility as the men within the organization. And Henrietta Vinton Davis was one of those, special women, along, of course, with my mother, who put together the Philosophy and Opinions.
Yes, she did.
Which were different papers and editorials that my father had produced. And while he was incarcerated, she communicated with him and published it at that particular time. So she deserves a lot of credit in
absolutely
carrying on the movement, etc. But there are several women at that level.
At that level, absolutely. Salute to Amy Garvey. Salute. Dr. Garvey. And so Biden pardons your father, right? But this fight isn't new. And I remember when I talked to you on the phone, you said we couldn't get it done under Obama. You said we just couldn't get it done under Obama. Could you walk us through that? What happened? So, with Obama, and why couldn't Obama, pardon him?
Yeah. One of the things I want to stress is that, the posthumous pardon is different from the exoneration. And, we've been involved with an exoneration effort since 1987.
Okay.
That involved the Congress of the United States. And, back in the day, Congressman Rangel, Congressman John Conyers, we went before the House Judiciary Committee, myself, my brother, several other historians, John Henry Clark, Tony Martin, etc.
Beautiful.
To give evidence, to the fact that what my father did in terms of the birth of the civil rights movement and what it meant to Africans, worldwide. Anyway, House resolutions have come and gone over the years relative to that. And there's still a House resolution in the House at the present time, put there by Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, who's a Democrat from Brooklyn, New York. But now, in terms of the posthumous pardon, we decided to go that route in 2016 because of the fact that we had a black president, and we thought that that would be an easy, thing for him to do. So, we have a law firm, Aiken Gum Power, who have been giving, pro bono legal service over the years, 15 years or so. Anyway, we made this presentation to the pardon attorney in Obama's office, or the office of the president, so to speak. And it was identical to what we subsequently ended up placing before President Biden, but it was ignored. So, I can't tell you why, because I'm not privy to the inner thoughts of President Obama. But as I said, it should have been an easy lift because it was the end of his second term. I don't see that there could have been significant blowback relative to that. And he should have understood the shoulders on which he stood, basically the civil rights and how it was founded, because he's intelligent enough to know the history of African America and the fight for justice.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Biden, go ahead.
No, I said absolutely. Like so you're saying that he just ignored it, like he never even responded. He just ignored it.
Never responded. Exactly.
Oh, wow.
It was placed there and by someone of the law firm of Aiken Gum Power, was a prominent Democrat. So it reached the office. We know that, but there was no response. Yes.
Wow. And so Biden, so like you said, you all were pushing for him to be exonerated, like you said, not pardoned, but exonerated. So with Biden, was it some sort of compromise? Were you still going for the exoneration, or did he say, well, no, I can't exonerate him, I'll pardon him? How did that?
It's two different things. It's not a compromise because, as I just mentioned, the House resolutions for exonerations are still going on. It's just two different ways to get, shall we say, his character unstained. The posthumous pardon, the whole concept of it is to correct an injustice. It's only been used 4 times in the history of the United States, a posthumous pardon. Again, posthumous. That's different from pardoning a live person who is alive, who is guilty of something, and you're pardoning him. The posthumous pardon is to correct an injustice. Only 4 have been used so far. Only 4 times has it been used, and the most recent was 2018, when now President Trump gave a posthumous pardon to Jack Johnson. And you know how Jack Johnson was framed.
He was framed.
And he was framed up about transporting a white woman across state lines. He was actually married to her, etc., etc. So, that's how it's used. So it served the purpose of correcting an injustice. And so that's what we tried to get Obama to do, and that's what President Joe Biden did, and we're very thankful to that, of course, for that.
No, absolutely. So this is a posthumous pardon, and you're saying that you all are this stuff is still in progress, like you're still going for the exoneration.
This is still in progress, yes.
So are you all trying to achieve that under now Trump? You trying to get exonerated?
Before the House now, there's a House resolution there.
Wow.
Yes, before the House, by Yvette Clarke.
By Yvette Clarke. Okay, and shout out to King Simon. He said Dr. Yvette Clarke, is a good friend of his, in Brooklyn. So salute to Dr. Yvette. So salute to Dr. Yvette Clarke. Salute to her. Mm-hmm. And so is there anything, well, you said it's on the table right now in the House. Is there anything that anything that we need to do or can do, Dr. Garvey?
Well, basically you have to work through your Congress person or your representative, wherever you are, And I just want to say also that, we are attempting to get the charge expunged, meaning removed, from the Southern District Court in New York, because that's where the conviction was. Mm-hmm. So that's another legal process also. It's like one step at a time, and each thing is different from the other. But that's what we would consider to be complete exoneration in that sense, a reconstitution of his character, to have it completely expunged from the books. So that's where the next fight is for me, so to speak.
Absolutely. And let me ask you this, but before I let you go, Dr. Garvey, what do you say to people who may say, well, why does it matter? Why, you all are talking about something that happened 100 years, you want to, pardon, exoneration. Why are you all putting time and energy into that? What would you say to people like that?
I would say to those people, why does anybody need to apologize for slavery? Why do you need reparations?
Mm,
200 years ago. Why bother?
mm.
If they can answer that question, that doesn't matter, then fine.
Right. I hear you.
Freddie Marcus Garvey also doesn't matter. That simply means that you have no human dignity of yourself.
That's right.
That's the way I see it.
No, that's right. That's right. And last question before you go, and because I know the wife said 30 minutes, and we had 25. Look, we had 26 minutes. So the last question that I had for you, Dr. Garvey, is what do you think your father would want Black people to do right now under this Trump administration? What do you think he would want us to do? How would he want us to move under this Trump administration?
Well, you see, I don't think he would worry about the Trump administration. We have to do what we have to do regardless of who is the president.
That's right.
Because we've had a Black president. I don't know that things changed, for us during the two terms of, our Black president. So I don't think it's about presidency in that sense. And I don't think it's about reacting to any government anywhere in the world. It's about what is our agenda as African people here in America, in the Caribbean, and on the continent of Africa. And first and foremost, we have to have unity so that we understand that we're all brothers and sisters and we come from the same, tree. And that tree is a tree that grew up on the continent of Africa and was nourished there. And now we're a global people, and we're 1.5 billion, and we have to unite and take care of ourselves. And taking care of ourselves means that we have to live, shall we say, an African life. So that we have to know our history, we have to know our traditions, and we have to know our culture, and we have to practice those. And if we do that sort of thing, then we will know that, we are a manifestation of spirit, and that we're living in a completely materialistic society where even the religion is materialistic. It's not a spiritual religion that we see out there, and especially I won't distinguish which religion, but I think pretty much all of them are along those lines. They're materialistic religions or tribal religions that have been forced on us. But we have to understand that we are primarily a spiritual people, and in many of our societies, we never even had a name for religion. It was a way of life, a spiritual way of life. So we have to return to that, and the only way to return to that is through self-knowledge. And that's one of the things that my dad, put forward. Man is the individual that can shape his own character, master his own will, and therefore, create his own destiny. So we have that capacity to do that. So we have to return to that. And, we have to have unity in the community. We have to have unity in the diaspora. We have to have unity with those in the motherland. And we have to have, collective work and responsibility, as well as cooperative economics. I mean, Marcus Garvey was the first social entrepreneur before there was a name for social
entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. And the scale that he did it on, exactly. I mean, no one did it before, and no one has done it after, and you would think that with all of the access, that we have today, we have technology, we got the internet, we have social media, you would think that we could, galvanize or, launch large movements, and it hasn't happened. And he did all of that. And it wasn't him. We know that he had an organization behind him. He had a team, but they were able to accomplish that in an era where you didn't have social media. You couldn't just, click a button and have access to thousands of people. And they were able to unite and organize, and so they were able to do that, which is just extremely impressive, you know, and like I said, it hasn't happened before. It didn't happen before, and it hasn't happened after. But so thank you so much, Dr. Garvey. I do appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. Thank you so much for coming on and just expressing your thoughts about the pardon. And so, how did you feel, Doc? I didn't even ask you that. How do you feel? Are you delighted? Are you happy? How do you feel?
Well, we're very excited, and we're still in the afterglow, and it's energizing. I think and not just in terms of Garvey, but the social justice movements on the part of African people, all over the world. I think it's energized, all of us to keep fighting, and that persistence in terms of our agenda pays off over time.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Garvey. I appreciate you. And I'll be in touch. You always hear from me out the blue. I call you up, Dr. Garvey, what you? So, you'll hear from me. So thank you so much, Dr. Garvey. Peace and love to you.
Take care.
Take care. Take care. All right, family. You all heard from Dr. Julius Garvey. And for some of you who are like, who is that? Some of my young folks who are watching, he's the son of Marcus Garvey. He's the son of the man that I'm with, the man that's on my shirt. Okay. That's his son, And so, I feel honored and privileged that I can reach out to him to have a conversation. So as soon as the news hit that his father was pardoned, I immediately called him and he picked up. He picked up. Dr. Mod, how you doing? Say, hey, Dr. Garvey, how are you? I said, I got the news, and I said, where are you? He said, I'm on vacation right now. I'll be home around the 24th or 25th of January. And I said, okay. I said, well, I'll give you a call around then. And he said, well, people probably won't even want to know what's going on because it'll be old news. And I said, no, Dr. Garvey, we always want to know what's going on with you and any news regarding your dad, So I said, don't worry about it. We'll connect when you come back. So I gave him a week to, come home and get reacclimated to life. You know how it is when you go out of town, you got to come home, you got to wash your clothes, you got to take a vacation. You got to take a vacation from your vacation. So then you got to rest, and try to get yourself together. And so I said, well, let me hit him up a week later. And I did. And he answered and he said, I said, well, how about Sunday? He said, yeah. So we came, I set up the broadcast and here we are, family. And so anyway, I did drop the link in the chat. If anyone wanted to come on to say a few words, if you want to come on to say a few words about Marcus Garvey getting pardoned, I'm dropping the link in the chat again. I see my IG families in the building. Peace and love of Bibi Fahodie to the IG family. I see you, Oba, in the building. I see you, CO Williams in the building. And I see you, Sir Ramen Brown in the building. Peace and love to you. I see Antoinette in the building. She said this was fire. Peace and love to you, beloved. If you all want to head on over to YouTube to click on the link to come in, just to drop your thoughts, share your thoughts with the crowd. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. If nobody hops on, then I'm going to close out. If nobody hops on, I am going to close out. Someone said, how do we get Dr. Julius Garvey and Dr. Ericana Chihombori? I hope I didn't butcher that. Chihombori. Quad together. I guess a telephone call, man. I don't know who Dr. Ericana is, but maybe we get a telephone call, an email chain or something. You get what I'm saying? And or we could bring them both on this platform. But I'm not familiar with Dr. Ericana's work. And so please enlighten me, brother, on Dr. Ericana's work. I'm not familiar with his or her work. All right. Someone said it takes character to admit. I do it all the time when it happens. What we talking about here, family? Somebody said we want to know the truth. We're truth seekers. I see you, D. Peace and love to you, D. I see Sister Tamika's in the building. Peace and love to you. All right, Brother Moses. Okay, I see you, brother. Enlighten me, brother. Who's that? Peace and love to you, brother.
Hey, Yah the Most High shine down on you, Queen. It's an honor to speak to you, sister.
Peace and love to you, warrior. Peace and love to you, warrior. Appreciate your energy.
I tell everyone around me, man, that if you want to see one of the Elohim women, a return of one of the Elohim women, go watch Dr. Mayat. Because you are definitely, in my spirit, I feel that you are one of the Elohim women, one of the women that was on the council of the judges and magistrates in our ancient kingdom. I feel like you have returned. So
wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
let me just talk about Dr. Chiambari Kwao. I really can't put the words together to explain this woman, but I can tell you that if you see the name in the chat, when you get a chance, go look her up on YouTube.
Okay.
This when we talk about Mother Africa, if you wanted to actually see a face and a voice of Mother Africa, that's her. That is her. This woman has been talking about building what is called Wakanda villages on the continent of Africa. And these Wakanda villages are STEM based. It's a place for our children. She doesn't say it, but I know that that's what she implies. She wants these villages to be actually built by the children. Where I'm from, there's this saying that children are the return of gods that come down here on earth. But that when they're born in this hell, like hell's like America, you know what I'm saying? They don't get a chance to come up as gods. They get rearranged and they get turned around into these satanic people that we're dealing with here in America. With her, she understands what children are. So if you got gods that are coming down to earth that are children, they will raise up to be gods as adult, and they will build holy kingdoms. And that's the way she wants Wakanda to be. She wants it to be as the kingdoms were on this planet. When civilization first started on the continent of Africa, that is what she is really trying to resurrect on the continent of Africa. Dynasties, kingdoms that were heaven on earth, because that's really what heaven is. Heaven is not no mystical, magical place. It's a place that once existed on this planet. We just lost it.
Is this sister doing work on the continent, like as we speak? Like, is she based on the continent?
Yes. Her PLO Lumumba, Dr. And what is his name? The brother in Rwanda, Ngame. They've been going around the continent. They're actually the Pan-Africanist movement on the continent of Africa. I'm very surprised that
I do know about the Pan-Africanist movement going on the continent, but her in particular, I've never heard her name.
Yeah.
That's why I laugh. That's why I laugh when people say Pan-Africanism is dead. That's a lie. It's still going on and it's still going strong. It's just people aren't tapped in. But that particular sister, I'm not aware of her work.
Right. Okay. All right. So let me end on this. You are actually in a position to make it happen. We see what's going on here in the United States. You see a lot of people concerned about President Trump, but I honestly feel like that's ancestors trying to wake us up to what it is that we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be staying in this under the rule of foreigners. We're supposed to be doing exactly what Marcus Garvey attempted to do. So you're in a position to where you could possibly get Dr. Chiambari Kwao introduced to Dr. Julius Garvey, because if the reparations thing really does happen, those checks really should be given to those of us that want to do what Marcus Garvey and Dr. Chiambari Kwao is trying to do. Those checks should be used to build our own colony, our own African-American society on the continent of Africa. No more of this going over to Africa as individuals and trying to assimilate into societies that have already been established for thousands of years. We've been here in America. We're a total different tribe now, but we're not accepted here in America. We need to take who we are, the best of us, that is. We don't want to be taking no riffraff with us. We need to take the best of us over there and build a society based on science, technology, engineering, mathematics, so that our children, when they come up, they don't come up with the mentality of America anymore. They come up as who they are, gods on earth. So you're the one that can really put it together.
I gotta check her out. I'm gonna check her out, brother. I'm gonna see what's up, because that's my elder. So you know how it is. You gotta check folks out and see what they about before you make the connection. So I'm gonna definitely check out her work, probably contact her and maybe have her on here. Someone may miss. She asked if I interviewed her before. I never interviewed this sister, but I'm definitely open to doing that. Brother D. Antoinette Lopez said, "Who gets to decide who's the best of us?" Did you say that? Did you say something along those lines?
I mean, come on. Yeah. The best, Marcus Garvey said, I do not desire to take all people back to Africa because there are those that are no good here in America and they'll be no good over there.
He did.
Well, so I'm on that Marcus Garvey frequency. They're like, no, we don't want to be bringing the problems here in America over to Africa. The ones that are problems here, we need to leave them here. Because if they don't want to leave that mentality, that gangster mentality, you know what I'm saying. I don't even want to be.
No, I'm with you. No, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that you definitely answered his question when he said, D. Antoinette Lopez said, like, who, decide who's the best of us. I hear what you're saying.
Right.
He said, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, we got judges. We have black people in law enforcement that will be able to decide who should come into that kingdom and who should not. They already got the records. The books will be open. We will know who should be eligible to enter into such a kingdom like that, and who should stay their asses right here in America.
I'm laughing at Sister Kiara. Sister Kiara said, meaning we ain't taking the niggas. And D. Antoinette said, yep, leave the gangsters. She said, leave the gangsters. Antoinette said, leave the gangsters and the sellouts out. That's
real.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, but let me leave you on this note, because we can't just be talking. We got to talk about the money side of it. So I'm not one of those that's really dependent on white folks to give us no reparations. So Ancestors gave me this download about toilet paper. They came to me and they was like, our people, one of the main things our people absolutely need, it's not a want, it's something that they need. When they go to use the bathroom, they reaching for what?
Well, toilet paper. We got black-owned toilet paper company.
But they not doing. But they not doing it the way it's supposed to be done.
How you gonna say they not doing it the way they supposed to be?
All right, let me break it.
That brother doing the damn thing. Shout out.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I know what you're saying, but it's not being done the way Ancestors want it done. The way Ancestors want it done is like this. This is what they gave me. Have you ever heard of affiliate marketing?
Yes, of course.
Okay, all right. So there, according to the census, there's like 43 million black folks here in America. I know that all 43 million black folks here in America they're not woke. So I want to take 10% of that number and say 4,300,000. So on your platform, right? Let's say we use affiliate marketing. If we can get our people to stop buying their toilet paper from like the Walmarts, the CVS, the Wegmans. I think up in our area, in the Maryland area, you got Giant and Publix and Save Save On. To stop buying them from white-owned retailers and get them from black-owned retailers, which would be your platform, to get it from Dr. Armaat's affiliate marketing platform, right? So if you're buying it for $4 and you selling it for $7, that means that you're making a $4 profit off that toilet paper. And then that $4 multiplied by 4,300,000 people.
Brother, if you get it for $4 and you sell it for $7, that's $3 profit.
Oh, my bad. My GED mathematics be messing with me sometimes. But you follow me what I'm saying, right? $4 times 4,300,000 people, and we're changing toilet paper out at least once, sometimes even twice. But that's a lot of money every month for a year and to perpetuity. We actually can come up with the money to build Wakanda villages on the continent of Africa. We have the ability to do it, but how do we reach that many people? How do we draw that many people to your platform to where everybody that is with the Marcus Garvey movement, how do we direct them to your platform so that the money can start coming in?
Yeah, I do want to say this. They do have an affiliate program. This is about people are buying black. Like in my family, we've been doing this for decades. You got We Buy Black platform. I think they just changed their name to something else. A lot of black platforms. I just shout out to Black Now. They have an ad. People are doing this and they have affiliate programs. It's just a matter of getting enough. I'll just say enough of us to buy into those sorts of programs. We have them. Ed Anime Productions, my company, we have affiliate programs. And so it's just a matter of raising awareness and then getting people to really buy into these programs. But these ideas, like what you're just saying, like it's already happening. These things are happening. It's just raising awareness and getting people to really buy in to these sorts of programs. But let me say this to you and we'll close out. you're saying take the money, reparations come, we need to take the money, go back to Africa. Some of us need to go back and build. What do you say to folks that feel like, well, I might want to take my money and build here? My ancestors are buried here. My grandmother, my great-grandmother, my grandfather, my great-grandfather. Carve out some of this land that's in America and give us our own spot and let us build here. Because let's think about it. People say, I want to take my money and go over to Africa. European powers still dominate Africa. The French, the Dutch, the English, they're still colonizing Africa. Now you got the Asians, you got China coming over there. Then you may say, well, I'll take my money, I'm going to the Caribbean. I went to Jamaica. Do you know that in Jamaica, the Chinese men run Jamaica? I went over there. I had a conversation with a brother that was driving me around for a week. And I looked at him and I said, brother, he said, oh, this road was created by the Chinese people. We have to pay a toll to get through here. I said, wait a minute, brother. Wait a minute. I said, so the Chinese people came over here, the Asians, built a road on your land, and now they charging you a toll to use the road, and y'all didn't turn up? Then he told me this. He said the Chinese guys, they own the water where the fishermen will go get the fish and tell them when they can go fishing. He said, well, they bought that area, so they own and control that area, so we can only go fishing on Monday and Tuesdays for free, but the other days, it's theirs. I said, wait a minute, brother. So the China man telling you when you can fish on your land in your water. And he said, yes. And I said, brother, that's like, a man coming into your house and he telling you, I'm going to take this bedroom, I'm going to relegate you to the basement and don't go in that kitchen until. I said, come on, man. I said, how can y'all Jamaican men lift your heads up high as men, and y'all letting these other men come in and build infrastructure in your home, tell you what to do in your home? And so my point to you is, we want to take our money and say, I'm going to Africa, but then the same issues are over in Africa. We want to take our money and run down to the Caribbean, but the same issues are down in the Caribbean. So my question is, why do you think that's so, that we think that when we take our money and go elsewhere, it'll be different? Because the reality is, you show up, it's the same problems. Same problems. When I went to Cameroon, you know who runs Cameroon, brother?
Who?
The French.
Mm-hmm.
They have gas stations over there. They still have the francs over there. So somebody might take their money. I'm going over to Cameroon. Well, then you're going to be under the powers of the French. You're going to be under the French. You get what I'm saying? Oh, I'm going to go down to Jamaica. Okay, then the Chinese folks are going to be running you. So I think that,
but okay, so Dr. Maya, you made like about 4 different points, and I would like to try to address all of them. Okay. So the very first point that you said is that the ideas that I'm expressing, you said that they are being done, right? But if those ideas are being done, how is it that we have people able to colonize Africa? If we're making that type of money that I broke down, if we're making that type of money every month, how is it that Africans are allowing Europeans and Asians and other outside entities to come in and build? Why are we not over there building those infrastructures off of it? If my idea was actually being done and that type of money is coming in, we should be the ones that's over there building infrastructure, no matter where we go. And we're not doing it.
I didn't say that money was coming in. I said the idea of affiliate programs and affiliate marketing, I said that is being done. And the point that I made, brother, I said we need to raise awareness and get more people to buy into programs like that.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, if we raise the awareness, I do believe that it would stop. Well, let me ask you this quick question. Do you know the definition of insanity?
No, I don't know, brother. I don't know.
The definition of it.
You know that was sarcasm, right?
Oh, all right. Well, okay. All right. Well, I'm still going to say it for those that might not know it.
I'm just saying, you say the definition of sanity. People, that's not new either. Like that term, people say that all the time, doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. So it's the same, it's the people
right.
know that, right?
But that's what you're talking about doing when you're talking about carving out a place for ourselves here in this America. We've been there, done that. You know about all of the knowledge that you have. You know how many black massacres have happened, and then don't act like it's not going to happen again, because it's happening right now with Flint. That situation with the Flint water, that wasn't by accident. This redlining that has been going on is still going on. The zip code areas, they have us in targeted areas. They could poison our water and wipe us out just like that. I mean, so that whole thing about building here, that's just insanity, man. To keep doing the same thing over again.
No, I'm with you. But let me ask you a question, brother. What do you think was happening in Africa? What do you think was happening in Africa? You think that taking our money and trying to build in Africa, do you think that's a new idea? Because our ancestors was doing that in the 1800s and early 1900s. Look at what happened in Liberia. Hold on. Look at what happened in Liberia. That's not a new idea, taking your money and going over to Africa to build something. That's not a new idea. Our ancestors was doing that since the 1800s. Look what happened in Liberia. It was a whole civil war going on in Liberia.
Yeah, but Dr. Maat, that Liberia situation was a co-op. That they co-opted Marcus Garvey's message. Marcus Garvey initially was headed toward East Africa, Ethiopia, in a territory that did not have any American influence. West Africa has too much American influence, and that's the reason why you saw that failure happen in Liberia. That was on purpose. Why did they co-opt Dr. Marcus Garvey's movement, and then W.E.B. Du Bois comes in and does the same thing, but takes our people to a different territory? So you got to understand that we do have Judas Iscariot among us. You can't lose Liberia. Can't use that as an excuse.
You can. We can use all the history. You get what I'm saying? I'm using it.
Not as an excuse not to keep trying. I'm saying we got to keep trying.
No, I'm not saying that. But then we can't use the black towns by your logic. We can't use the failure of some black communities in America and say that we can't keep trying. I say we try it all. That's where Dr. Maat is. I'm down for building and building and protecting what we build everywhere black people are. That's what I'm saying.
Dr. Maat?
Yes, brother. Please do. And welcome on the platform, brother.
Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing fine, brother.
The problem is we're fighting ourselves for something that belongs to ourselves while the other man is running off with the bag. You're in the Congo fighting your brother for something that already belongs to you, and somebody's running off with the bag, and we're not seeing that.
Right.
And the man and the same man who ran off the bag started the fight to begin with.
Facts.
He didn't like your brother because he was from over here, and he inflamed that, and you're not seeing that. So he's running off with everything. What you're fighting for that already belongs to you, and the same European is willing to share with his brother, even though he's greedy. He's not going to take everything for himself. He's going to share with his brother.
Right. Facts.
And we know when we look at ancient Kemet, they stuck together. If they were right, they were right together. If they were mad together, and they came back together. That's what you have to understand. The plan is if you go going crazy, we all got to go crazy. If we say we all had to be sane one time. But if we do, we had to do it together. Correct? That's what my is about.
Right. No, absolutely.
This is why the ancient Kemetic people had control of the immediate area, because we're seeing in America, when you don't have control of your area, this is what happens to you. You end up getting corrupted by people who don't understand you. This is the problem. And that's what we're not seeing. Seeing it as if going mad, know what they was doing. Even when you see the Greeks conquered Kemet, I think the ancient Kemetic people chose the Greeks because they figured that they were at least kept something intact, as opposed to letting somebody else do it. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. What do you think about that?
So check this out. I want to read this comment by Baba Amin from the Uhuru Academy. Shout out to Uhuru Academy. He said every black town wasn't burned down, and many that were built, rebuilt. He said integration destroyed that black community. So he's letting you know, like we keep saying they burned down all the black towns. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Shout out to Baba Amin. Shout out to Baba Amin. And Baba, I got the book that you recommended, Black Towns. I ran and got it. So salute to you, Baba. Salute. So we gotta stop that. We gotta stop that myth too, brother. But
we still have to admit that we as a people, we're not operating at our 100% capacity inside this white supremacist construct. I know for a fact when black folks come out of college and come out of these universities with their degrees, they're still banging on the door of some white owned company or some Asian owned company, and sometimes even a Mexican owned company to get a job. We're not banging on the doors of Fortune 500 companies. We represent 13% of this country's population, but it doesn't show in the black business, the Fortune 500 black business area. So something is amiss. Something is off. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No,
but I do agree with you with building. If we're going to build, I'm going to end with this. If we're going to build here, I will agree with building here when I see Native Americans and Mexicans in charge of the Capitol and the White House. If they get control of their land back, I won't have no problem building here. But as long as white supremacy is in charge of this, I won't feel comfortable building here.
But white supremacy is in charge of other places, brother, even on the continent.
We're allowing that though, fam. We're allowing that.
And we allowing it here too. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, hold on. I want to read Kira's response. She said for years, she said some native tribes have accepted us onto their reservations. She said the kingdom of Oyatunji in South Carolina, they did it their own rules. She said knighted as a true Yoruba nation. Peace, 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 Sister Kira. Thank you for chiming in. So they're basically giving you these examples in the chat to show you that we have built successful autonomous Black communities right on this soil, that it can be done. And the point that I'm trying to make, and I'll land my plane, is that we thinking that if we go somewhere else, we're going to escape white supremacy. But white supremacy is global. It's a global system of oppression. So capitalism is here, and capitalism is on the continent as well. It ain't like we go somewhere, I'm gonna escape capitalism, go somewhere, I'm gonna escape white supremacy. White supremacy is global. So until we destroy that system, no matter where you go, you ain't going to be safe. I land my plane.
Okay, Queen. So let's raise awareness, and let's get that money coming in. Let's get that $4,300,000 coming in every month, so that we can start to put an end to their system inside of our system. Because we one thing we got to keep in mind is that America has enemies, and the rain of fire will fall on them. And it will fall on us also, because we still here with them. You don't want to separate from them. And America's enemies don't care if we was descendants of slaves and we was disenfranchised in America. They don't care. When they start dropping bombs on this country, we gonna die with these folks. And I don't want my generation dying with these people. I just don't.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Baba, he said agreed. He said we're definitely not at full capacity or at our best. He said, but we can still do more than what we're doing now, with more knowledge of self and cultural pride. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But that go ahead, Brother Joseph. Go ahead.
But you have to understand, the indigenous people only have autonomy because they were given autonomy, and it can be taken away. And this is the problem with the African people joining the indigenous tribe, because the government is telling them, if you let these niggas in, we are going to take away everything that we gave you. And people are not seeing that. That is the problem. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And then someone named Buick Boy, shout out. I'm looking at it on IG. Shout out to my IG family. Buick Boy 8787. He said, my Afro-Colombian friends tell that they are victims of white supremacy in Colombia. You know what I'm saying? So that's down in South America. So white supremacy is everywhere. You can't just say, I'm gonna leave, I'm going to Africa, and you think you're going to escape it. I've been over there. I've been to Ghana. I've been to Cameroon. I've been to Egypt. I'm getting ready to go to South Africa. I've been over there multiple times. White supremacy is over there. White supremacy is in the Caribbean. White supremacy is everywhere. And that's my whole thing. We can't say I'm gonna just take the bag and run and think that we just gonna flee from white supremacy. We need to destroy white supremacy.
But white supremacy doesn't exist.
I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here.
Hey, Dr. Arikana Chiambari-Kwao. Dr. Arikana Chiambari-Kwao, please look out for her, please. If you have her on your platform, please bring her on the platform if you can, please.
All right. Peace and love to you. Peace. I kind of understand what the brother is saying when he says white supremacy doesn't exist. I think the brother's trying to say that they're not supreme. I get that. You get what I'm saying? And I know Baba, Nwalimu Baruti, tell me, Dr. Samuels and Baba Amin in the chat, he said he calls it white aspiring supremacy, something along those lines. So I get what he's saying, that they're not supreme in any sense, but let's not act like they don't have control of the power, wealth, and resources. They do. They have control of the power, wealth, and resources. They do. With a stroke of a pen, they could change your life. You get look at what Donald Trump is doing. With a stroke of a pen, people are out of a job right now. Like let's not pretend. So I do understand what he means by He said white supremacy doesn't exist. I think he's trying to say that white people aren't supreme in any way. And I get that. I agree with that. But, you know, Baba Nwali Mobarudi calls it, I think, aspiring white supremacy or white aspiring supremacy. I forgot. But, you know, someone, Shook once said, like, wordplay, he was like, not reality. I'm with you. Yeah, there it is, Dr. Samuels. Aspiring white supremacists. You get what I'm saying? Aspiring to be, you know, white supremacists. And Sherry Shabazz says, as Neely Fuller said, white supremacy is a global system. Exactly. And that's all I was trying to get the brothers to know. That's all I was trying to tell the brothers. You get what I'm saying? Thank you. We could say white hegemony, right? I agree. White hegemony is worldwide, but it's easier to eliminate from Africa than the U.S. He said we're outnumbered here and we can't protect it from the military. We outnumber the whites on the continent. So I hear what you're saying, brother. And I think that's my brother from the Congo. But yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You know, I'm not saying that they're supreme to us in any way. So I do like the term aspiring white supremacy, or we say white hegemony. I do like those terms, but let's not act like white people or so-called white people, and then we can get into that. There's no such category. There's a human category that was made. Like, we can play word games, but let's not act like these people that are called white are not in control of the power, wealth, and resources, because they are, family. They absolutely are. And so we got to be about the business of learning how to garner power. Bottom line, how do we get power? And so we need to read the book. I'm going to plug it, Blueprint for Black Power by Dr. Amos Wilson. Grab that book, family. It's 868 pages. It's a thick read, but it's a good read. Get it, study it, and apply it. Black people have to learn how to empower ourselves, you know? And so we got to get Blueprint for Black Power. And also, family, check out the lecture, not the lecture, but the interview I did with Dr. Malana Karenga a couple of weeks ago. He talked about, he said, our key crisis is culture. The key crisis is the culture crisis. So Black people have to learn how to construct a culture that is going to empower us, because we're losing right now, family. We're losing. So anyway, family, you know, I'm out of here. Appreciate you all tuning in. Before you get out of here, thumb up the video, thumb it up. Also share this discussion. We had Dr. Julius Garvey in the building talking about his dad. So some folks that are coming in now, go back to the beginning of this, listen to it, share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live, you will be notified. Peace and Black African excellence.
Let's combat and fight back with MELTREK. The war of the minds, they want control of the masses. And Common Core, they dumb us down in the classes. Without knowledge, we can't gain access. Build with the elders, take notes and write classes. We keep whining on the block, how it's gonna stop? Let's start supporting our own, make their supply drop. We buy stocks, then we buy blocks, cause we know the truth and we tuned in to Dr. Maya.